Oh my goodness.
What?
You might want to edit this out of the video, but guess what Cameron just uploaded?
What did Cameron just upload?
Relationship video 2!
Yes!
Anyway.
Oh god.
Are you gonna keep that in the video?
I might put it before the opening titles.
Yeah, I'm sure Cameron will be chuffed with that.
Hello everybody and welcome to this Day of the Doctor discussion. I'm here with TermlessG, but we'll call him Dylan in this video. Say hello, Dylan.
Hello.
And we are here to talk about the Day of the Doctor. We already kind of did a bit, but I didn't record, so we might go over some of the same stuff that we just talked about. But don't worry, we'll try and cover everything.
Shall we go on about the spoiler thing now?
Yeah, I suppose that's a good thing. This is going to be a spoiler-filled discussion. I'll put it in the title and everything, so nobody gets mistaken. But if you have not seen the name of the Doctor, no, not the name, the Day of the Doctor, then I urge you to stop this video and then watch it, and then come back to this video and listen to this discussion.
If you're watching this, you should be a Doctor Who fan, so you should have watched it by now.
Well, I don't know. Anyone who's watched The Day of the Doctor and wants to hear other people's thoughts on it, then they can watch this video. But we will be targeting towards the Doctor Who fans. So let's begin. What were your general thoughts on the episode, Dylan?
Really enjoyed it. It fulfilled my expectations, which is something that I'm sure a lot of people were worried about.
Yeah.
That it would never live up to the hype, but it did, and it was really good. Stephen Moffat has done a good job.
Well, because we went to go see it in the cinema, and you said you were like, this is one of the only times this is one of the few times you've actually been to a film or something, and it's actually exceeded your expectations, not only met them.
Yeah, well, that was certainly the feeling at the time. But I'm not sure increasingly the whole Zygon thing, as I've watched it again, has started to bother me a bit more. But it's still very good, and I would say it's exceeded my expectations this phase.
I loved the episode. I thought it was a brilliantly written story by Stephen Moffat. Not only did it pay tribute to the past 50 years of Doctor Who, but it also, looked towards the future, and it was just a good standalone story, as well as a big 50th special, and I really enjoyed it, and I think it's just a triumph from the whole team, from the actors, from the director to the writing. Everything was just fantastic about it. I will agree, though. We'll probably start with this. I do think there is a definite plot hole in the Zygon episode. Since you find more of issue with it than me, you can talk about that then, Dylan.
Yeah. So, the 10th Doctor and the 11th Doctor do the whole thing when they wipe the memories, so no one can remember which side they're on, even though how are you supposed to decide what to do if you can't remember what side you're on? So that's one of them.
Yeah.
And then the fact that they're just left there. They're just left in the Black Archive and it's never addressed again. I think the last shot is that girl in the Tom Baker scarf with the inhaler.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's never brought up again.
Well, I think because they go back to the museum later and everything's fine, I think the idea is that it did get resolved, and the world isn't on the brink of destruction. But
it could have been as easy as just having the Brigadier in that last scene.
Exactly. The Brigadier's daughter. Yeah, she could have just said, "Oh, the Zygons are off on their way, and everything's resolved." Which, I don't know, I'm hoping they're going to be clever about it and sort of bring this up as kind of a consequence, maybe some Zygons are still out there and since the Doctor left the situation, something's happened, maybe the Zygons have infiltrated Unit now and are in charge of Unit. But I don't know. I do see it as a definite plot hole, and it was probably that and the fact that I suppose the other major plot hole is that at the beginning of the episode, Clara's a school teacher, which would be fine, but in the end of the last episode, she did go into the timeline and get all split up.
Oh yeah, of course. That's another big one. The end of the name of the Doctor.
Yeah, it's never resolved, which is it's strange considering it was like the big finale, like the big cliffhanger at the end of the name of the Doctor. Well, I mean, I suppose the John Hurt introduction was, but it's I think it's still a bit strange. Like having little things unresolved is fair enough sometimes, but something as big as that I think is quite glaring, and I'm hoping they do like address it at some point, because it is quite a big gap in the it is a bit of a leap in logic.
Yeah, how did they leave Trenzalora? How did Strax and
yeah, exactly. Did they all were they all okay? How did the Doctor manage to save her? Make her a whole person again instead of split it across the whole timelines.
Maybe we'll get a flashback in
the Christmas episode. I'm hoping, because I'm thinking maybe they were like, well, it's the 50th special, and we're probably going to get more viewers than we did for the name of the Doctor, so we don't want to exclude any viewers, so we don't want to confuse them with this whole timeline thing. But even so, I think it is a bit glaring.
Oh, it's just Stephen Moffat's. He seems to do this thing where he doesn't stick to things. He just continues.
I know, but
with the destruction of the TARDIS and that sort of thing.
I know, but it's got to annoy him too. He can't he's seriously. I can't expect him just to with the TARDIS exploding. I think he thinks everyone thinks it's the silence, so it's resolved, which it's not really, because that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Hopefully that will be a big part of the Christmas special as well.
Well, we know they're going back to Trenzalore, so hopefully that will be a big part. What did you think of the relationship with the Doctors? Did you think it felt right that these particular Doctors were the ones that were featured, and that it was okay that there weren't any other Doctors really in the episode?
Yeah, certainly. Stephen Moffat has written a story that only requires those 3 Doctors. It doesn't feel like there's any Doctors missing. It only needed those 3.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there. Even say the 9th Doctor didn't really need to be in the episode as much as it was influenced by the Time War. I don't think the particular character of the 9th Doctor would have brought much to the episode.
Yeah, he would have just been. He has the same perspective as
David Tennant, yeah. So I don't think that would have altered the episode at all. Did you think? Did you like the well? It's not really a retcon, but did you like pretty much the massive status quo change of them bringing back Gallifrey?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really like that. That's one of my favourite parts.
Yeah.
Because just as 3 Doctors, they changed the status quo. Now this one has. The Doctor's got a new goal. The Time War is kind of resolved.
Yeah.
The Time War isn't going to be a thing anymore. We got a whole new focus on the Doctor, which is really cool. I'm glad they've done that. It opens a big door for Mr. Capaldi.
I suppose. Though I know I don't really think this, but I could understand if other people I don't personally feel this, but I could understand if other people personally feel that it's kind of undoing a lot of almost kind of making the Doctor a lighter character than he has been in the past 7 series, which a lot of people might not like. Because I know a lot of people really like kind of the Doctor to be a kind of like a tortured hero with lots of shades of grey.
But Matt Smith, none of the Matt Smith episodes have really done anything with the Time War. Matt Smith's Doctor's never brought up the Time War, so
it's true.
we've already seen the Doctor not thinking about the Time War.
Exactly. Well, and I think it was a good idea. I think it was a good idea. Like if Stephen Moffat doesn't really want to address the Time War anymore, then I think it was a good idea to kind of like end it with a bang, like kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you're right. Like so the Doctor.
Doctor Who needs to change. Doctor Who is all about change in the character.
Yeah. Well,
storylines.
like if they like uh, 50 years ago, if they didn't change it with introducing regeneration, later like having the Doctor stranded on Earth, all those different changes that they've done, like the show wouldn't be around now.
Yeah, certainly.
So I'm all for change. Speaking of Mr. Capaldi, I know that you enjoyed his cameo appearance.
Yeah, that was quite a shock. I certainly wasn't expecting that, and I like how you only got a glimpse.
Yeah,
He wasn't
there were
a big character in it.
There were a lot
like,
of.
All right, fellas, let's Zach back.
There were a lot of things in their special that I didn't see coming. Actually, like Tom Baker appearing in the end, I didn't see that coming.
I knew Tom Baker would be in it somewhere because he regretted being in the last one so much, but wasn't sure where.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I definitely didn't see them, bringing back Gallifrey and all the Time Lords and everything. I didn't see that. Didn't see that coming. The end where all 13 Doctors come. I thought that was a brilliant twist. Like, really exciting.
That was my favorite part of the special. That bit with all the TARDISes buzzing around. It's pretty cool.
What did you think? What did you think of the direction of the episode? Because in television, directors are usually overlooked compared to writers.
Yeah, in cinema it's the other way around.
Yeah, in film, quite strangely, considering like how close TV and film are these days. But yeah, it's completely different. But what did you think of the direction in the episode?
I really liked it. As you said earlier, he's done other Doctor Who before. He did the God Complex, which I think is one of the best directed Doctor Who episodes. Well, definitely up there with some of the best directed Doctor Who episodes.
Well, I know
I think this is the right guy for the job, for sure.
Exactly. Well, I know you don't really like Asylum of the Daleks that much, and I don't love it, but I think the direction in that episode is really good, and I think like
I've only seen it twice, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've seen it like 3 times, I think, but some of the cinematography and the shots of the Daleks are really good in that.
Yeah.
And in The Angels Take Manhattan, the photography in New York looks really good.
Yeah, Angels in Manhattan was a really well directed episode as well.
But yeah, we saw this in 3D, and I don't like 3D like at all, really. Especially when it's like post-converted 3D. Sometimes 3D has won me over, but not often. So I was actually the 3D aspect of this film was probably the thing I was least looking forward to. But in the middle, I thought the 3D kind of went down a bit, but especially at the beginning and at the end, I thought the 3D was really impressive. And
yeah, they've certainly made this with the intention of it being 3D. If you watch behind the scenes, they're wearing the 3D glasses when filming it.
Exactly.
So they were using 3D cameras.
Yeah, so it wasn't just a post-converted sort of gimmicky thing like, oh well, we'll make it 3D and it'll all be fun. And no, they actually.
The Titans, for example.
Yeah. Yes. Well, you saw that in IMAX, didn't you?
Yeah. I could have saw How to Train Your Dragon, and that would have been awesome in IMAX.
Yeah.
No. Went to see a horrible post-converted sickly.
Well, I mean, a lot of films I like. We're getting off topic a bit, but a lot of films I like, really like, have looked really crap in 3D. Like I saw, the first 4 in 3D. Like the 3D added nothing to the Wolverine. The 3D added nothing to the film at all. But. Back on topic. What did you think of who gave your favourite performance in the episode? Which actor?
I think John Hurt did an amazing job with his Doctor. I don't know what it is with Doctor Who, but somehow they managed to do age really well. I think it's just in the writing, because Matt Smith, even though obviously he's the youngest actor to play the Doctor, he still looks like the oldest Doctor. And John Hurt looked younger than David Tennant and Matt Smith. Don't know how they do it, but
I know. Well,
really well done.
What I really liked about John Hurt's performance is that when he came, because because like obviously he's only really been the Doctor for this special, but it felt like it felt like he'd been the Doctor for years, hadn't it? It felt like he'd been like he was the Doctor back in 96 or whatever.
Yeah, regarding the John Hurt Doctor, I'm really glad they went the route with that he is actually a funny Doctor still. Like, he still has the Doctor's humour.
Well,
it just make him really dark and brooding.
Well, I think it makes him more.
Time war.
I think it makes him more of a three-dimensional character because, like, as bad as the Time War got, the Doctor is still the Doctor, and he's still gonna have like a sense of humor. He's still gonna try and save as many people as he can, etc. and etc. So they could have made him a really two-dimensional character who was just like really stoic and brooding about everything. But I did like some of the cracks he made. The humor in this episode is really funny. Like, it's really funny, this episode.
All the scenes with the three Doctors, the way they play off each other.
I love like the digs about the sand shoes, and the Sonics. You know, where it's like compensating much. Like, I thought that was really funny. David Tennant, who I was really happy to see make a return. I thought Matt Smith did a really good job of not being overshadowed by David Tennant, because obviously David Tennant's Doctor has a massive following, and he easily could have, well, maybe not easily, but it was a possibility that David Tennant could have overshadowed Matt Smith, but I think Matt Smith did a really good job of holding his own against David Tennant.
Well, there's going to be the David Tennant fangirls out there that were just like, oh, David was the best.
Yeah.
Okay, my mum or our teacher.
Well, that's we did, we talked to our media teacher afterward, and she was like, I watched it, and I just, David Tennant's just so much better than Matt Smith, so much better.
Yeah, Matt Smith feels like he's trying a bit too much.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand if people prefer David Tennant to Matt Smith, because I am among those people. I do prefer David Tennant to Matt Smith, but I'm not going to deny that that Matt Smith is a fantastic actor and a really good Doctor.
Yeah. I think all the actors in this held their own. Well.
Like even the ones that kind of got smaller parts, like the person who played Osgood, who was like the assistant who wore the Fourth Doctor's scarf and was a bit bumbling. I thought she was like really good with the small part she got.
Yeah.
Joanna Page, I think that's her name, who played Elizabeth I. She was I really liked her. She was quite funny. She
was a really good character.
Yeah.
And of course they brought it back, and it makes sense, the whole Shakespeare code at the end.
Yeah, I love that.
I
love that. Yeah, I really like that.
6 years later, there's finally a payoff to that joke.
Well, that's why, because when I was younger, after watching the episode, I was always waiting for the Queen Elizabeth episode, always looking forward to it, seeing what the Doctor actually did, which made Elizabeth hate him so much. And then David Tennant regenerated, and I was like, oh, we're never going to see it now, then, are we? And then, so I was really glad they brought it here. Mm-hmm. Though, if David Tennant doesn't remember what happens, then it does beg the question of in the Beast Below, the 11th Doctor does remember meeting Queen Elizabeth and eloping with Queen Elizabeth. So it does raise the question of how much does he remember?
Well, I think that's one of the less continuity errors that were in this episode.
Oh, sure, but I wouldn't. I mean, it might not even be an error. It might just be he kind of, because Matt Smith does have a line where he's like, "Oh, well, I sort of remember this happening." So he does have vague memories of himself meeting himself, but just not him saving Gallifrey and everything. So I'd be interested to it's an interesting idea. How much does he remember of the experience?
Yeah.
And if John Hurt doesn't remember anything, and then the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith remembers everything, then does that mean David Tennant only remembers some parts?
I think the idea is that they've just both, they will never remember this whole event. And that's one of the tragic things about it, really. It's also a clever way of making it so that it doesn't have the big continuity error that they know that they didn't kill all the Time Lords and everything.
Oh, sure.
It's a clever way of getting
rid of
that.
It certainly but there has to be, it certainly makes sense, for John Hurt never to remember it, and that's why Christopher Eccleston is so torn up about it. But then how come Matt Smith says, I remember this. Well, almost remember. It must mean that he, as David Tennant, he remembered slight things about it.
I don't think that's.
Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
David Tennant must have remembered meeting himself and being with Queen Elizabeth for Matt Smith later, at the very start of the episode, to say, "Oh, I sort of remember this."
Yeah. Well,
I know. I don't think it.
I think we're dwelling on this.
I think we are dwelling on it a bit. I don't think it's an error so much. I just think it's kind of like an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Did you how did you like the inclusion of the Daleks in this episode? Would you have liked to see more Dalek screen time, or did you think they kind of just got like the perfect amount? Because they weren't really in it that much. They kind of like, they looked really cool, and they kind of like fired lasers at people, and there was that massive action sequence at the end. But you didn't actually see the Daleks that much.
They could have easily overdone it and made it almost a Dalek story, like the Daleks were the villain.
Yeah.
But they didn't, and I was happy about that. The Daleks were there to serve their purpose in the Time War, and they looked really cool. They're all dirty and stuff. And
oh yeah, they looked fantastic. Though they clearly, I'm just looking at the trailer for the Christmas special. They've clearly like trying to make everyone forget about the progenitor Daleks. You know?
They've clearly just burnt all of those.
Yeah, like, which I think is is a bit like kind of sucks for them. Like they spent so much money on those.
It makes victory of the Daleks very pointless.
Well, it makes the episode pointless, and all that money they spent on the new Dalek props like is now like down the gutter.
Yeah.
Like Mark Gatiss must feel really bad about that. Like he wrote a whole episode introducing these new Daleks, and now they're just like they don't even get a look in.
In Asylum of the Daleks, they kept the design. They just made them all the dark red colour, which I think looks fine.
Yeah,
I like the design. It was just the colours.
Yeah, they looked much better in Asylum of the Daleks. So I don't think they need to get rid of them completely. I think it's a bit extreme.
Yeah.
Music is something that I should really pay attention to more in films and TV, but I don't. I couldn't think of. Murray Gold is always on top form when it comes to composing, and I did notice a lot of things. Like I noticed the Dalek theme in the battle sequence.
One of my negatives about the special as well. There wasn't any original music in it for the 50th.
Yeah.
So that was quite disappointing. Murray Gold could have made a fantastic mix of the Gallifrey theme and the Doctor's themes and.
Yeah, it is. I did notice that they used the "I Am the Doctor" theme, well, a remix of it, but the "I Am the Doctor" theme for all three Doctors, which didn't really make sense because that's Matt Smith's theme, not I think they used like a rendition of David Tennant's theme when they introduced him, but then never again in the episode, which I thought was a bit strange.
I think that's the only original bit of music, if you can even call it original.
Yeah,
so it was just kind of a remix of the 10th Doctor's theme.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. And did John Hurt get his own Doctor theme?
No.
No, I don't think he did. So, I don't know. None of the music was awful or anything. It sounded really nice, really epic in some scenes.
It's still great Doctor Who music. It's just it would have been nice to have some original.
Yeah, especially for the 50th.
50th music.
Yeah, I don't know. John Hurt deserved a theme.
Yeah, certainly.
What did you think of the inclusion of Billie Piper in the episode? Who wasn't actually playing Rose Tyler, she was playing the moment who looked like Rose Tyler.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that. I'm not a fan of the Rose Tyler character. I mean, there's all those Doctor Who fans that are like, "Oh my gosh, Rose, I love her."
Well, I think we had one of those in the audience because when David Tennant was getting with Elizabeth I, there was one fan in the audience who went, "No, no, no, no."
I wanted to see what he looked like because I can imagine him being dressed as Rose. He was a man, by the way. It was a he.
Yeah, it was a man.
No.
But yeah, I liked how that she wasn't, because like if Rose was in the episode, she'd just be like, I don't know, what would she do? She'd be pretty pointless, and she'd kind of just be like
Yeah,
probably bitching at Clara.
yeah. Yeah,
So
I thought the moment. I think that was really good. They definitely like using AI for technology,
oh
don't
yeah,
they? Bringing
yeah.
back Rose and that. The TARDIS has had the AI quite a bit, and
Yeah. Well, if you
now the
notice that
moment had
the
one, which is
personality
cool.
of the moment is quite similar to the personality of the TARDIS, which would make sense because they're both like Time Lord technologies, so it
Yeah,
makes
I
sense.
imagine all Gallifrey technology has the same personality.
Yeah, like they're all like sassy women,
Yeah,
which it begs the question: who designed all of these? Like, must have
yeah.
been pretty.
I think Billie Piper's a good actress.
Oh, I think
I
she's a great
think with
actress.
her, it's just
and
Rose.
and in a lot of episodes,
She
because
does a very good
with
job.
with Rose, it was I think it was the writing that sort of brought her character down. But in a lot of episodes, she kind of like makes Rose a likable character just through her acting.
Yeah,
Uh, like I don't know, in Father's Day, like Billy Piper made Rose like a really sympathetic character.
yeah. Even though she messed up a lot in
Even
that
though
episode,
even
she
though
still
she like got loads of people
she
killed,
killed loads of people.
and everything, Though I think that's a trait in series one. Like she got everyone killed in the Dalek episode too.
Yeah,
um, but yeah, I like the moment. I thought it was a really ingenious idea, making the moment have a conscience, and that being the reason why the Doctor doesn't kill all the Time Lords at the end.
yeah. So going off topic a bit, don't you think it would be really cool to have? They never explored this with Dalek and Father's Day, but to have the companion kill off a lot of people and then have that on her conscience.
Ooh, that would be
Or
interesting.
his.
Yeah.
That would be a cool episode. So, for example, Clara gets loads of people killed, and it really preys on her mind and stuff.
Yeah, that's that would be cool because I wish they would kind of like explore some new territory with companions because
Well, Clara certainly needs some more
oh she
exploration.
needs
She's a very good character, but she hasn't got much personality.
I've said this before. I think the actress Jenna Coleman is a great actress, but the writers just don't give her anything to work with. Like she,
Yeah.
especially like in series 7 part 2, I can't really draw an episode where I thought like Clara was really interesting and had really interesting stuff to do.
Yeah, they've been doing good stuff with the character. They just haven't given a personality. Like in
Yeah.
Cold War, they did the whole thing when people are dying and.
Well, it's weird because like in Cold War, she's like, "Oh, I'm really scared, Doctor. I'm really scared. I'm really worried about this thing." And then in Nightmare in
it's all
Silver,
got real and stuff.
in Nightmare in Silver, she's like a military commander who's leading the troops against the Cybermen. Speaking of Clara, did you how did you feel? What did you think of her inclusion in the episode? Because I think a lot of the new series has been very companion centric. Like Rose saved the day at the end of series 1. Martha saved the day at the end of series 4. Donna, Amy.
Clara saved the day in the name of the Doctor. Well, she saved the universe in the name of the Doctor.
Exactly. And I think that's a lot of like female empowerment thing by like the writers. But I liked in this episode that she wasn't the one who saved the day, considering it is the day of the Doctor. I'm glad that it was the Doctor who
She was definitely welcome in the episode, though. Like, she could have easily just been tacked on.
Oh, yeah.
Like, served no purpose in the episode, but she did do things.
Yeah, like nothing major, but she did do a lot with. She had great scenes with John Hurt. She is the one that convinces the Doctor not to kill all the Time Lords.
Yeah. Well, I think that was a fantastic scene. The one when they're all got their hands on the button and it's like we're gonna do it together.
Oh yeah, that was a really heart-wrenching scene. That was all actors working that scene were just superb. And,
how many TV shows can you have one character have so many characters and have a heartfelt moment?
I know. It was beautiful, that moment. So, is there anything else you want to discuss, or should we get on to our favourite moments?
No, not really. Do you think there should have been more Gallifrey in it? because there was a clip released onto YouTube with the really bad CGI Daleks at the end.
Yeah.
But I think it was quite cool seeing it from a Gallifreyan perspective because they weren't Time Lords. They couldn't regenerate or anything.
Yeah.
They're just normal Gallifreyans. So I think it would have been quite cool to have a few scenes with Gallifreyan soldiers.
It might have been cool, but I think it
story.
might have just detracted from the main characters and sort of taken away from that. The only reason I would have maybe liked to see more Gallifrey is I would have liked to see more of a reason why it was such a hard decision for the Doctor to to kill them all off, other than one, it being his own planet, and two, them being all the children. I mean, obviously that's reason enough, but I would have liked to seen like more. I would have liked them to try harder to make it seem like, oh no, it's so horrible that he has to destroy this place.
Yeah, they really liked to hammer in that whole children thing, didn't they?
Well, I think the idea is the Doctor's always been the protector of the innocent, and now on his darkest day, he has to be the one to kill all the innocent. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's the idea. It did beg the question though. Like there are still all those evil, Rassilon and all those corrupt Time Lords about who are in the end of time.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up when we were talking about continuity errors.
Yeah.
Because the end of time kind of can't happen anymore. Because
I think it can.
On the end of time, you see all the crashed Dalek spaceships outside the temple, and those are the only ones.
But they're different cities. They said Arcadia was the second city, which must have meant the High Council were in the first city, Gallifrey, and in the end of time they do say they're on the brink of the Time War, so they're nowhere near the centre. So that makes sense. And I think, this is going to sound a bit convoluted, but I think, because in the end of time, the Time Lords do escape the Time War, but then get sucked back in. So I think if all those events happen like in between John Hurt, finding the moment and saying like no more to the Daleks and then going to find the moment, I think all those events make sense.
Yeah.
It's just I hope when the Doctor does eventually, we'll get onto this in predictions, but when the Doctor does eventually find Gallifrey, I hope they do address them being still being those corrupt Time Lords there.
Yeah, certainly. I think that would work.
Yeah. So, what was your favourite moment of the episode, and what was your least favourite moment of the episode?
Favourite moments? I have three. I really liked all the cell scene, the jail cell scene. When they're all in the prison having the conversation.
I love the metaphor about the screwdriver, same software, different case, saying how the Doctor's, it doesn't matter what regeneration he's in, the Doctor is still the Doctor and he's still the same man at heart. I loved all that.
My favourite part about that scene was when they ganged up on Matt Smith for, forgetting about the children and everything.
Yeah.
Showing that he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Anymore, he wanted to get it out of his mind.
That was really that was really powerful, I think.
Yeah, and it gave all the actors.
They've got these three amazing actors, and they don't waste them. They give them some really great dialogue and some really really great, really heart wrenching stuff to work with, and some really comedic stuff to work with as well. It's a great script.
Yeah, and my second favourite bit. I'm kind of cheating because it's two scenes, but that whole bit when they all have the hand on the button and then there's the resolution with all the TARDISes buzzing around and all the stock footage of the Doctors around and to Capaldi's little moment.
Well, I like obviously they couldn't get all the actors, but I do like in the special they do include all of the Doctors, even if it is stock footage.
Yeah, they all have that. But one bit that bothered me in that scene, took me out of that scene a lot, was when it cut to that bit that wasn't on the screen of Christopher Eccleston saying, "And for my next trick," in the TARDIS, and it wasn't on Holocam. That bit really took me out of the scene, which kind of annoyed me.
Well, how so?
Because you see, everyone who's in that room, chances are they would have seen that bit, because that's obviously the bit when they go into the spaceship in Parting of the Ways and put up the shield. I remember that scene really well from that episode.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're just repeating it again exactly.
It was a bit jarring.
Frustrated me.
Yeah. It is a bit coincidental that the Doctor says the exact same thing twice, like and does the exact same actions. It is a bit coincidental.
It wouldn't have been that bad if it was in one of the hologram screens around the Time Lord War Room, but they didn't. They had their own shot just for that bit.
Yeah. Well, I think the idea was, like he's one of the new series Doctors, so we got to give him like a, we got to give him the whole screen. But I do agree, actually. I was thinking that as well when watching the episode. It is a bit coincidental that the Doctor would say the exact same thing. It's stunning.
Yeah, but if you're gonna give that to all of the Doctors, like give them all their own little scene that isn't in the hologram, then that's fine. But if you're just giving one of them that, it's kind of it's relevant.
Couldn't they
just that's my only problem with that.
Couldn't they have just got Eccleston to film a new scene in the TARDIS? It would have taken like 10 minutes. Like 10 minutes to film.
He would have gotten his
paycheck.
Put leather jacket on, walk on the
set. Say something like, alright, I'm gonna, do this. Bong.
Bananas are good.
Bananas are good.
Thank you, Mr. Eccleston, please. Make your way off the set.
That's all they had to do.
Film for too.
Yeah. And your third favourite moment?
Third favourite moment, you can probably guess Tom Baker.
Yeah, Tom Baker. Well, I obviously we both got a bit overwhelmed when we were watching that in the cinema.
Yeah, you hear the voice, then you see the back of his head, and it's like, oh.
Yeah. I really think you might. Yes.
On first viewing, after first viewing, kind of took me out of it, like the fact that he was a curator and he just seemed to have a random job. But watching it a second time and paying attention to the dialogue rather than just staring at Tom Baker and just drooling.
Yeah.
Listening to the dialogue, I guess they were implying that he may regenerate back into Tom Baker again because they have the line saying regenerate in back. What was the line?
It was like you'll find your. Yeah, you'll find yourself revisiting a few faces, but only the old favourites, say.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was, I think, was heavily implying that in the future,
he could regenerate back.
he'll be able to regenerate at will and be able to regenerate into whatever he wants to, and then he'll choose to regenerate back into Tom Baker.
Yeah, so that was it made a lot more sense, and I enjoyed the scene a lot more.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good way for the Doctor to, find out that Gallifrey was, that they did succeed and Gallifrey was saved and everything.
Yeah, and Tom Baker just delivered the line so well.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a notification then.
Probably Cameron sending you an email.
Probably, it's like, why haven't you watched my video yet? And what did you have a least favourite moment?
Probably just the lack of resolution to the Zygon story.
Yeah.
If I had to pick the exact scene, it's when the girl in the scarf. I feel terrible for not remembering the character's name.
Osgood.
Osgood, yeah, that's right. And both of them are standing there, and then she gives her the inhaler, and they know it's them. So why doesn't the Zygon just kill her right there and then, and then?
Yeah. Well, I think the idea was the Zygon didn't want to get blown up.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right.
Yeah. So that was my least favourite scene. But saying it's my least favourite, I didn't hate it or anything. It's just that was the weakest scene for me.
Yeah. My favourite moment. I had a lot of favourite moments, obviously all the fan-pleasing moments with, Tom Baker, Peter Capaldi, all 13 Doctors. But I think my favourite moment of the whole episode was that bit with John Hurt, where he has that line where he says, great men are forged in fire. It is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame. I thought that was such a good line and so delivered. Was so well delivered. That gave me chills, that line. It was. That's one of my. I think that's one of my favourite lines of anything.
It's kind of repeated again when they say what they promised.
Yeah.
Each of them finish their own sentences.
Oh yeah,
That's really good.
And any scene with those three actors was brilliant. But that line in particular, that scene in particular, and that line just hit me in the right place. I think I every time I go back and watch that, I feel something there.
Yeah.
Least favorite moment, it's really hard to think of anything I really disliked in this. Probably same as you, probably the lack of resolution. So that scene where they kind of just leave it. But also, I know maybe at the beginning it took me out a bit where it's like, oh, so she's a teacher now. Oh, okay.
This is a tiny nitpick, but the fact that they didn't finish the whole Doctor Who theme tune, they cut it off short. At the start, they have the first Doctor theme tune.
Oh yeah, I think they did that. It's because the when they have the actual credits, it's that big, bombastic "I'm the Doctor" thing. So they didn't want to have a credit sequence and then another credit sequence. I think that's why they did that.
Yeah, I suppose so, but I don't know. I wish they could have just finished the first theme tune and then just cut to it rather than fade it off short.
I don't know.
It's only a tiny thing.
I suppose, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if 2 credit sequence would have made sense. But I see where you're coming from.
No, I don't mean having credit with all the names and stuff.
No, I know what you mean, but it just seemed like to have the whole music and the whole theme playing, and then to have another music part, big music part. I don't know. I think it just would have been too long and drawn out.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll get on to predictions for the future. How long do you think it will take the Doctor to find Gallifrey? Because he's not going to find it straight away. I mean, I wouldn't think.
Well, the whole Time War thing has been going for a while now. Well, I'd say it went on and up until Matt Smith's regeneration, really.
Yeah.
And then started to come back towards the end of Series 7.
Yeah.
So I imagine this one will go on as long as Capaldi goes on. So maybe
really?
Capaldi's last episode might be him finding Gallifrey.
That, I don't know. I think they might find it sooner than that, because I think what they might do is a lot of Capaldi's tenure will be him, dealing with, maybe, him adjusting to Gallifrey being back, him having to deal with some of the corrupt Time Lords, I think he'll find Gallifrey sooner than that. I think maybe at the end of the first or the second, maybe at the end of Series 8, or if they want to push it longer, maybe at the end of Series 9. I just don't really...
At the end of Series 8?
Yeah, I just don't really see them dragging it on for that long.
But considering how big this is, and how big of a thing
well,
it
sure,
is, if they get rid of it straight away, then they kind of got to...
Well, sure, but the big
the
story isn't in him looking for Gallifrey, though. The story is in him finding Gallifrey and dealing with things on Gallifrey. So I don't think there's much of a story to be told of him just looking for Gallifrey. I mean, obviously there's still going to be standalone episodes, but I don't think it's going to work for 4 series of him going, I'm looking for Gallifrey. Oh no, I've got to deal with this. I don't think that will work for 4 series.
I was thinking, at the end of each series, there can be a clue to how to find it. There can be a big reveal.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's just my thinking, if they get rid of it too early, what do they do next?
Oh, sure.
This is very big, and if they get rid of it too early, then
yeah,
they haven't got anything to carry on for the rest of Capaldi, really.
I see where you're coming from. I don't know. I don't see them dragging it on though for more than 2 series. I think it would just be a bit. It would be like if, say, I don't know, if. Okay, this was nowhere near as big as Finding Gallifrey, but it'd be like if they only found out what Bad Wolf was at the end of Series 3. I don't know. It would just be a bit odd. The next episode we know is going to be set on Trenzalore. The time of the Doctor it's going to be called, and obviously Matt Smith's regeneration is going to be there. Do you think we're going to see the big battle on Trenzalore where the Doctor supposedly dies? Do you think that we're going to see that in the next episode?
No, I don't think they're going to show it there. I mean, if there's been a brief synopsis for it already, and that's that it's based in a village called Christmas, and quote, as all of the Doctor's worst enemies converge on the village, he must save the day.
Right.
That sort of thing. So it doesn't sound like it's going to be a big war or anything on Trenzalore that'll end in the Doctor's death.
Well, but they do have all of it. They do have all of his enemies, though. Like, there's going to be a bit. There's going to be a bit of a. There's got to be a sort of a big skirmish if, like, the Cybermen and the Daleks and the Weeping Angels and the Silence are there. Like, it's going to be it's going to be a big deal.
But the way they described it in the name of the Doctor, it's as if the whole universe was involved, and
Yeah.
I don't
get the impression from the synopsis.
I think it's going to be just based on that planet. And who are the inhabitants of Trenzalore as well? Like, who live there?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And what sort of planet it was before the big battle happened.
Because if you see the pictures for it, it looks a lot like Earth. Like, it's a nice winter village with a church and everything.
Yeah.
So, I'm intrigued about that. I just hope it won't go the Christmas special route where...
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They're not good.
Yeah.
So I hope it won't suffer.
Well, I don't think you'll disagree with me here in saying, like, the Christmas specials are never a good indication of the quality of the show's quality. They're never a really good indication of that.
Yeah, if someone sees the Christmas special first without seeing any other Doctor Who, then that's really bad.
Except for the Christmas Invasion, which I still think is a pretty damn good episode.
Yeah, I'd certainly say it's above average.
Yeah, well, that was my first episode, and that's how I was introduced to the show. And I think I don't know. I think I might just be nostalgia on my part, but I think that's still a pretty damn good episode, which holds up quite well.
Yeah.
But it is a bit strange that, like, if the big battle doesn't happen next episode, then why are they going back to Trenzalore? Like, why not just set it on a random planet?
Well, I don't know. I think this whole big battle that kills the Doctor, do you think they actually meant, like, kills the Doctor, like, that'll be the end of the Doctor forever, not just make him regenerate?
Well, he has a grave.
That's actually his final resting place.
Well, he has a grave. He has a grave there.
Never cover it.
Yeah, he does have a grave there, so they are implying that that's the big battle where he dies. But I think they will write something where he escapes that. Which is another thing. I'm pretty tired of stories where the Doctor thinks he's going to die and then manages not to at the end. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Like, if this is like, we kind of saw that when David Tennant was going to regenerate. You know, like, he was worried about that he was going to die, and then he didn't.
Well, it's a good sign showing that it's time for Matt Smith to leave.
Oh,
like,
sure, but we had a whole
things
series-long story of the Doctor, like, thinking he was going to die, accepting it, and then figuring out a way where he didn't have to die. Like, I don't really want to see that again.
Oh. I'm sure it'll be pulled off better than in the Wedding of Riversong.
Sure, I think...
That scene when he walks out the door in the bar, then suddenly he jumps back in with a smile on his face, and I'm the Doctor kicks off.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I liked that episode when I first watched it, but every time I rewatch it, I hate it more and more. I don't like that episode.
The first 10 to 15 minutes of that episode is wonderful. I love the first 10 to 15 minutes of that episode. There's like intrigue. You have the bit with the Brigadier when he finally accepts his death, and it's all quite dark. And then,
yeah.
Riversong says, I've shut down the weapons and blah-de-blah-de-blah.
Yeah.
I think that's a whole other video, though.
Do you think... Yeah, I think so. Do you think we'll see... Do you think the name of the Doctor, they sort of implied that that's the last time we're ever going to see Riversong? Do you think that's the case, or do you think we'll see her in the next episode?
Well, Riversong is very much like Matt Smith. They introduced her with David Tennant, and that was brilliant, but she's very much Matt Smith. I can't imagine her and Peter Capaldi.
Oh,
unless they bring Riversong back when she's a lot older.
Yeah, I can sort of see... Well... Actually,
well, then again, between Matt Smith and Riversong is probably more than Peter Capaldi.
I think, to be honest, I think Capaldi and Alex Kingston are probably much closer in age than Alex Kingston and Matt Smith are. So I think it might actually make a bit. I mean, not saying that people of different ages can't date or anything, or can't get married or anything, but I think it might make more sense for Capaldi and Kingston to be to be together like that. But I do agree. I think since River Song is very much an 11th Doctor character, I think they'll probably just have end her storyline there.
And I really want, like, the different versions of River Song. I really don't like the cocky River Song.
Yeah.
I love the Silence in the Library River Song, the Name of the Doctor River Song.
Yeah.
And the mid-series finale for Series 6.
Yeah, Good Man Goes to War.
Yeah, the Good Man Goes to War.
But you hate Let's Kill you hate Let's Kill Hitler River Song.
Yeah, I don't like the cocky River Song. I mean, she was quite funny in Let's Kill Hitler.
Yeah.
But it's just, it doesn't feel like the character River Song when she's really cocky and stuff. I didn't. She was good towards the end of the Angels in Manhattan. The Angels Take Manhattan. She was better because obviously, she was losing her mum and dad and stuff. But the Day of the Moon and all that sort of thing, I'm not a huge fan of her.
Yeah.
So I hope that we're only going to get to see that older, wiser River Song from now on, because their timelines are kind of matching up a lot more.
Well, if we ever see her again, I mean, we might see her again just because it's Matt Smith's last episode, but do you think we'll get like a companion tour like we did with David Tennant, or do you think we'll get something like that, or do you think it'll just be more of a traditional regeneration?
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a big gathering of characters and past characters, because obviously, the 50th anniversary that was a big thing in there. Having characters come back, so I think it's going to be quite a nice small scale regeneration story rather than big.
Well, I think
billions of Daleks.
Yeah.
All the companions going back, that sort of thing.
I think it might be interesting, though it might look a bit cheesy in today's sort of standards. But you know how, like in the case of Androzani, you see the faces of all the Doctors, of the Fifth Doctor's past companions. It might be interesting if we see something like that.
They should do Colin Baker and just have him knock his head on the TARDIS console. Have you seen that video of Colin Baker realising how he regenerated?
No, is it funny?
It's at a convention, and he's like, I never knew how my Doctor actually regenerated. And he says, I hope it was very noble to have. And then a fan yells out, you knocked your head on the TARDIS console. And then he's absolutely outraged.
Oh, that's hilarious.
The writer.
Well, on that note, thank you for listening. Yeah, he just knocks his head, and then the whole episode is just like him in a concussion, and then he wakes up as Peter Capaldi.
Anyway.
And on that note, thank you for listening to us discussing the Day of the Doctor. If we missed anything, or if you have any opinions about the episode that you wish to talk about, please state in the comment section below. Thank you very much. This was Isaac Movie Page.
And I was Dylan, aka TermlessG and I.
Yeah, you need to sort out. You need to sort out that.
I need to sort my life out.
You need to sort your life out, Dylan. And thank you for listening.
Goodbye.